So what we're going to do for this discovery activity is we're going to create 4 breakout rooms that are going to focus on analysis and measurement. And we're going to use that combined consulting and Kirkpatrick model.
I'm just going to give you an example of what we would do with level 0. So as Jesse said, we're going to go over the 4 levels of Kirkpatrick, starting with 4, then 3, 2, 1. But there's some questions that are asked outside of that model that in the training field you might already know. We call that level 0. So we wanted to use level 0 as an example of this scenario that we're all going to go through right now. So as a group, I'm just going to turn it over to anyone who wants to pose. What are the needs assessment questions we would be asking at that highest level of Kirkpatrick?
So one of the first things I thought about is, what's the leadership support for this?
I don't know if we had this or not, but maybe the metrics. What are their measures and targets?
So like KPIs, kind of, is that where you're going? So what are the organizational KPIs that we're trying to achieve by this initiative?
You guys maybe think of, what's the organizational, usually organizations have like a 20-30 strategy, or they have like 3 very strategic goals. So is that what you're meaning when you say KPIs? Or would that be a different question?
Yeah, at this level, we're at a place where we're consulting, asking questions about what behaviors and actions we need to see in our employees, right? What's the gap, right? And usually you want to describe these behaviors in either some cognitive, psychomotor, or affective domain, right? With the verbs that are in those areas, right? So just for the tried and true learning folks, right, who write instructional objectives, right? That's where you want to target.
So what are some measurements for a level 3?
Observation by maybe higher up managers, or I don't know what the organization hierarchy is, but it would be observable behavior change.
I'd like to turn over to Teresa, who's going to talk to us about the people side of change management.
Many people are familiar with the model of change that is, you have your current state, which is you're frozen. Then you have a transition state, in which you unfreeze to make changes. And then in your future state, you freeze again. And so that's at the organization level. You'll see at the individual level, they're doing the same exact thing. They are in their current state of how I do my job today. I go in, every day and behave this way as a person. They have to unfreeze in order to change what they're doing. And then they will refreeze, hopefully, into how they need to do their job once the change or training or whatever occurs. I've used this slide over and over again because it helps, I guess, communicate what really happens when it comes to some type of transition or change that's going on. And oftentimes what'll happen, if you look across the top line, it says time. So you go from the beginning of a transition to an end of a transition. On the vertical scale in the left, it's the emotions people go through. And those should look similar. Those are experiences people would go through when they're losing something. I love this particular process, and some of you may have heard of this. It's known by the acronym ADKAR. I'll touch on each of these very quickly as we go through this, connecting it to the exercise we've been doing. But one thing I want you to think about is that change is a process. It's a linear process. And in order for me as an individual, or you or these managers to change, they have to go through these stages in order to be fully able to perform in that new state. And people can fall back into a previous state, and then you need to work to get them back forward again. And having this mindset or this model can help you really figure out where you need to go to fix or adjust.